Good morning, everybody. Stu Smith here, going live. Hope you guys are well. Today, Monday morning, have you gotten after it yet? Maybe you're on the West Coast and still early over there, so plenty of time to get after it on that morning workout. We are done here on the East Coast and taking questions. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about common mistakes I see in recruits preparing for military service. And this is any military service, any branch, any level of fitness, basic military service, special ops, all the above. So here's one problem I see people doing incorrectly. Using generic programs to address specific needs. Okay. Now, I'm all about making generic programs. I mean, that's what these are. I mean, these are a generic program that I know work. They address specific needs, but they may not be personalized for you. So these are great to use. However, you have to understand they're not personalized and you may need to personalize them, meaning you may need to cut off some of the running mileage or add some. You may need to, um, shift focus completely from our winter lift cycle. You may need to be in spring cows and cardio cycle, depending on your current strengths and weaknesses, and vice versa. So, where people use those incorrectly is, they're just not, they're just doing what is being told to them for them to do, and then they wind up injured. They wind up um, overtraining or not doing enough, depending on their physical fitness abilities at that time. They may not have all the equipment, so they just skip it instead of trying to create another option for it. For instance, if you don't have barbells, you can use dumbbells or kettlebells, things like that. So that's where a lot of people go wrong. They just use it as best they can and go by the letter. So you might need to personalize it depending. In fact, I have an article on that, how to adapt generic programs for your level of performance and goals. In fact, you guys can check this out. I'll put it in the comments section over here. It's a awkwardly titled article because originally it was a test article, and I haven't changed the name of the URL yet. I think I probably should, but anyway, you can see the hyperlink in there. All right, so number 2, the next one is they train only for the fitness test. Unfortunately, you know, if you're going into one of the spec ops jobs, usually, not all branches do this, you have to pass a level of fitness in order to get a contract, whether you're going in the Navy and doing all the jobs like SEAL, SWIC, EOD, diver, rescue swimmer. There is a specific fitness test you need to pass before you get that opportunity to go to those schools. Same for Air Force, Marine Corps, not so much, Army, not so much, but there are processes within that initial enlistment where you will have to take these tests in order to apply for these selections that are a part of it. A lot of people just train for the test. And when you're regular military, just training for the test, it may not be enough, especially if your fitness test is push ups, plank pose, and a mile and a half. That's not really a well rounded test to train for. Uh, the Army has answered that question. So has the Marine Corps with their combat fitness test and the Army's combat fitness test with adding sprints and agility and strength training and power. All of those elements are also tested. Now, when you actually train for that test, that's a diverse set of elements of fitness, you can actually do a little better because a lot of people just train for the test. My advice is do well on the test, maintain your test scores, but let's train for the other areas where you may be weakest. That's the biggest thing. And the next one is ignoring weaknesses among fitness elements. So doing things we're not good at is not a lot of fun. All right, like for me, coming out of powerlifting for almost a decade and football stuff, running long distance, and my definition of long distance back then was a quarter mile. Um, Running long distance, doing high rep calisthenics, swimming, wasn't really what I did. It wasn't a lot of fun. Now, it was kind of exciting because it was new, so you got some of that, but being bad at it really is demoralizing. But you have to get through that, especially if you want to do some of these other, you know, spec ops jobs that require running, swimming, rucking, load bearing, high rep calisthenics. It's just you got to be a well-rounded tactical athlete. That's what tactical athlete really is all about. The other one is not understanding the phases of preparation for tactical professionals. Uh, and you guys heard me say it. I'm going to say it one more time, real quick for you guys. There's articles written on these. Phase one of tactical fitness, you get to the training by focusing on that fitness test. Yes, you do focus on that fitness test, but it's not for all that you do. It is a quick cycle. Focus on that fitness test so you can get good at it at a high level so you crush it. Phase two, you focus on getting through the training. That's well beyond the fitness test. You're going to be running further, adding rucking, swimming with fins, load bearing, all types of load bearing, logs, boats, equipment, rucks, you name it. Still got to do a lot of high repetition calisthenics, work all day. There's a lot to prepare for to get through the training. And then you got to also learn well. You got to be able to pick up new um, training ideas and new uh, tactical skills quickly, right? So that's not easy. You get taught it once, and now you got to demonstrate it proficiently to the instructors and pass tests. So that's an getting through that stressor is not easy. Um, and then phase three of tactical fitness, you're an active duty operator, and you need to focus on maintaining your fitness for your job. That job may change from year to year, depending on where you're deploying and what you're doing. Uh, so there may be some specifics that need to change as well. You also need to, especially if you're working long hours, pretty stressful, you need to understand recovery and stress mitigation. Otherwise, you won't have a lot of longevity in that profession. You'll be burned out or injured, which happens to a lot of people. Um, Doing sports specific workouts that you know from the past. I see a lot of people do workouts that they did in football and bodybuilding workouts that they love to do to keep their gains. And, it's really distracting them from their performance. Um, to include strength, power, speed, agility, muscle stamina, endurance in multiple modes, flexibility, mobility, grip. All of these things need to be worked on. And sometimes just doing a bodybuilding workout or doing a powerlifting with sprints is good, but you're missing out on some of the key elements of fitness that you also need to get good at doing. More is not always better. This is the last one. When things are not going well, sometimes we just say, I need to run more. I need to lift more. I need to do more push ups. Need to do more pull ups. While sometimes that is true, it's not always the answer. Sometimes you're doing plenty and now you just need to recover better, right? You need to engage focused recovery into your day, and that means multiple avenues. That means your sleep has to be squared away, your nutrition, your food that's coming in for fuel, your hydration, your electrolytes. All of that is key. Your stress mitigation, how are you coping with life stresses? That can also wear you down. um, so more is not always better. Less is more, in fact. In fact, I have another article out there, 7 ways less is more when it comes to military fitness. You guys can check that out. Let me see if I can copy this link. I'll put it in here for you. It's a military.com article that's pretty good. I'll put it over here for you as well. Just to understand the importance of pushing hard but also resting hard and recovering hard. Otherwise, it's your training could be futile at best, and you could get injured and not be able to train at all. That would suck. All right, folks. Well, that's my intro. That's an article I wrote this weekend. It's going up on military.com. Um, basically it states, over the years, we've made a lot of mistakes. In fact, humans are experts at making mistakes. And so don't beat yourself up on it if you've made any of these mistakes or you find yourself currently making them. That's okay. Learn from them. Let's move on and try to fix them. So there you go. That is today's article going out. All right. I don't see any questions here. Let me go into, sometimes I'll make separate Word documents and um, find some questions. So here we go. Identifying strengths and your weaknesses. What are some ways I can uh, explore these common weaknesses and strategies to progressively address these areas to build a well-rounded skill set? So my advice is assess yourself, because if you're not assessing, what are you doing? You're just guessing. I tell my guys that all the time. In fact, I don't even get the whole phrase out because um, they say it for me. In fact, one thing we just did in our training room is we created these big charts on the wall, and every one of them has a name in one column and then an exercise in the other columns and their scores. So I'm looking for PST scores. I'm looking for max pull-ups with 20 pounds, body weight bench press, deadlift, 1.5, 2.0 your body weight, um, for 3 to 5 reps. What else am I looking for? Squats, 1.5 times your body weight, 5 reps. Shuttle runs, 9 mile ruck. That's an event they have to do well on. We build up, every year we go 4, 6, 9. So it's a progressive chart depending on what year you are in the program. What else is in there? 5-minute tread, 10-minute tread, drown proofing, life saving, knot tying. So there's a whole bunch of different tests out there that we are um, addressing. And if I see somebody needs help on a tread, I can address that. Hey, noon, I'll be swimming. Meet me there. Right. So we are constantly assessing. So that's the answer to that. If you're wondering where your strengths and weaknesses are, don't wonder, right? Assess them and find out, right? So if you look in, some of these programs, we have assessment days, or I should say a week, where one day we'll do a variety of exercises to test. And you can just do your normal workout and add a test in there, right? So, like, here's a day 1, week 1. What are we doing? PST. Boom. See what it is, right? That's ground zero of all this, assessing yourself in that manner. I had these charts in here. Oh, here's another one um, with recommended scores. So they're just charts in here like this that have PSTs and weight, everything I just mentioned. Standing long jumps, another one. 4-mile run, 2-mile swims, you know, stuff like that. So that's in these programs. And my recommendations to move on. That's my fall transition. This is what we're going to be doing this year. Might change it up a little bit, but for the most part, that's the series of training we're going to be doing, which is basically your running gets a little less. Our repetitions become less, but we're adding weight. So a lot of our calisthenics workouts will be weight vest workouts. So we're cutting our reps in half, but we're adding weight to them. All right. And then as we transition deeper into the fall, that's going to turn into actual lifting, where calisthenics we're using as warm-ups, cardio we're using as cool downs, and we're focusing mainly on that lift in the middle. All right, so it looks like we got a whole bunch of questions here now. I appreciate that. Let's get started. Looks like I'm going to start over here on Instagram just because I think you were first. Just got back from recruit training. Any advice on anything? Well, whew, that's about a tough a question to ask. What is recruit training? You talking about like boot camp, basic training? Or are you talking about you just worked out with your recruiter and yeah, I mean, just listen. I got a ton of advice. Listen to what I'm saying for the rest of this show. And if you can ask a better question in the future, I would suggest asking it because that question is, I got nothing but advice for you. Where to start? Um, what do you do to spice up your workouts? So they don't get boring and repetitive. It's a really good question. I try to I mean, this is kind of a weird way to make this comparison, but I treat these workouts like a dance. Okay. So a lot of the same exercises, pull ups, push ups, sit ups, dips, running, um, but a different choreography of those exercises to get them done. Right. So some days we are on the beach, cranking out runs on the beach and hitting pull ups at a playground and push ups, squats, and lunges, on the beach. And one day we're on a grass field with outdoor pull up bars, pyramid workouts. Those do get a little repetitive, obviously, but it's a good repetitive because sometimes you just have to go to that happy place in your brain to get through some of these workouts. There's actual training in boring, repetitive workouts. Now, I don't like boring, repetitive workouts that much, but there's some use in them because you just got to get them done and grind through them. But there's other ways to, you know, make it a different dance. There's supersets, there's pyramids, there's max rep sets, there's mixing it with weights and trying to finish a set of push-ups immediately after bench press. Instead of doing 100 push-ups, all I need to do is about 10 or 15 because after a bench press, that's all I can do. Right? So there's multiple ways to address that. And every quarter, we change our focus. That's why these seasonal tactical fitness programs work so well, because I will tell you this is towards the end of the summer, and we started off at our run today in the dark at 6 a.m., 2.25 miles just to get to this hill. We ran the hill 5, 6 times, and then we run back. I mean, I was thinking in my head, I didn't say it out loud, but I was thinking in my head, man, I'm ready to start lifting, right? I'm ready to reduce these miles and start lifting. So I'm looking forward to this fall winter lift cycle. That's how we do it. So everybody to the person in our group is like, ooh, the summer's getting long. And it does get long. You know, if we continued on this way through December, we'd probably be nursing some overuse injuries. But we're making that smart transition, decreasing a little bit, adding some weight, changing up the dance every day, and that's how I spice them up. So I try to write workouts with that in mind. So, very good question. Connor's going to try again. Yes, I guess the whole stream answers that question. It was USMC, and I always ask those above me for general life advice in the military because I feel that needs to come first. Well, then you should have asked general life advice. You didn't say that. um, yeah, keep on listening. Just got 18X contract as a 35-year-old. Nice. The airborne physical is the toughest area. All right, cool. It's not that tough. I mean, I think you're going to find the Army combat fitness test is probably tougher than the airborne physical fitness test. Now, the airborne physical, the medical physical, yes, you may be right. That is a different level of assessment that they do on you medically. Let's see, Ryan, you are tearing up these. Let's see here. Let's go. Stu, how do you go about creating your schedule? Often, when I try to stick to a schedule that I've made, something I couldn't predict will happen and throw me off course and mess up my schedule. You know, this is a classic question. This is one of those life questions for you there, Connor. Um, is I first work my, I have arranged my workouts for now almost 40 years to be first thing in the morning. Like I did the math the other day, I've been working out for 42 years and rarely missed workouts unless I was sick or in the hospital. Um, and I worked out most of the time in the morning because here's why. I have found that when I'm working out, the rest of my family is sound asleep and I can get things done. Even when they were little, you know, I would go get my workouts in and they would wake up by the time I was finished with my workout, let my wife sleep in a little bit, and then, um, I was able to get things done. You know, there's not a lot of work commitments other than travel that interfere with a 5:30 wake up and a 6 a.m. start. It's what I have just found out in over 40 years of training consistently. And even if there is, like I say, I go on travel, I'm in a new place, I try to stay on that same schedule, get something done before work or vacation, whatever that is, while everybody's still sleeping, try to stay on that schedule, even though it's might not have any of my equipment available. I'm going to run around, see if I can find a track, see if I can find a playground, monkey bars, something. If not, I'll bring my TRX and do it in a hotel room. So sometimes life gets in the way, and you got to have a plan to do something. Now, I will say this. Recently, my dad had a hospital visit, and he lives with me now. So life has taken a new normal for me, but we're figuring it out. Um, so those days, I call it my minimum standard time of training, right? It's kind of like I'm in this time zone now where I only have time for 30 minutes of training, not my normal 90 minutes of training. So I got to figure out what to do in those 30 minutes. Sometimes it's just walking and stretching and mobility stuff. Sometimes I find a pool, I can swim for 30 minutes and boom, I'm out. Or it's a weight room in my carport. Crank out 30 minutes of pull ups and bench press. I'm done. um, so sometimes you need to have a minimum standard time. In fact, I think I wrote this article here. Minimum standard time, Stu Smith. Yes, here you go. Check this out. I think you might like this one. See what this, when life gets in the way and you just can't get it done, check out this article. This might help you with some ideas. Something I also do when I fear I'm going to lose a workout, um, I just turn it into a mobility day. Mobility day for me is 5 minutes of cardio followed by 5 minutes of stretching or foam rolling. Do that for as long as I can. If it's only 20 or 30 minutes, it's only 20 or 30 minutes. Normally, it's 45 to an hour, but you got to do what you got to do. All right. Next question. Morning, Stu. I'm finishing out the calisthenics and cardio. Feeling exhausted and beat up. What is your suggestion regarding the last 2 weeks? My runs are much better than my calisthenics. I'd take a day off. Take a day off or something. See how you feel. Do a mobility day for a couple of days and see if that helps. If you're feeling exhausted, might be sleep, might be nutrition, might be a little bit of both. Could be the workouts too. So get all that stuff in balance, and then let's figure it out. Yeah, you can work out anywhere, anytime. Period. Yeah, most of the time. Any advice for cutting the last 10 pounds? Ooh, man, you and me both need that one. Yeah, I'm 205, trying to get to 195. Been here for about 6 months. It requires discipline in your nutrition. My main problem, I eat very healthy, is just I can eat a lot of food very healthy. So portion control is my biggest issue. So my advice, if that's your issue and you're eating healthy, you're doing your workouts, the only difference is this amount of calories at the end of the day is not allowing you to have that deficit to lose those last 10 pounds. Here's my advice. Put your dinner on a salad plate and put your salad on the dinner plate. See what that does. One, that's going to cut down on a lot of your bigger portions of protein and fats, and give you some more fiber in that diet with more salad and some good veggies. See what that does, and drink a lot of water. If your goal to lose 10 pounds as quickly as possible, how would you go about it, and how many days a week would you estimate I should take? Gary, that's a good question. You know what, I'm on that goal right now, actually. Just got back from my doctor's appointment. um, Weighed 10 pounds more than I want to, and my goal is to get down back to 195. 195 is my bud's weight, so I'm just 10 pounds over my bud's weight. Don't feel fat, don't feel overweight, feel pretty good actually. Um, but I know I don't need that extra 10 pounds, so going to try to lose it. So that's how I just mentioned. I am watching my portion control. I still work out hour and a half a day, 6 days a week. And every day I walk at least a couple miles, 3, 4 miles, with the dog. Run some errands, walking around, just burning extra calories. That seems to help. So I'm moving in the right direction. It's just slow. Might be a pound a week is probably a logical loss. 1 to 2 pounds a week. If you lose 2 pounds a week, you're doing really well. Probably a little bit of water weight mixed in there. Pound a week is more realistic. How do you think flutter kicks are? Do you think flutter kicks are the best ab exercise? I do not. I think they are a hard exercise, especially when you have wet pants and a pair of boots on. It's a hip flexor exercise. Yes, there's some abs to it as well, but it's mostly hip flexors. And the reason why you'll see a lot of divers and seals do flutter kicks is because we swim with fins a lot, and you need powerful hip flexors to do that. Let's see. I was 195 at MEPS, and they said I was overweight. My body fat's 5%. Yeah, no, man. I have been, using the standard BMI, body mass index, I've been overweight most of my life. But I've had single digit body fat, and I've been probably maximum of 12 or 13% body fat over the years. And, those things take no muscle mass into account. So I would just completely disregard it. I just want to be in 195 because that's my bud's weight. And I think as a 22-year-old person, that was my ideal body. Like, I know I had some muscle mass. I probably could have been 175 without the muscle mass. Don't want to be there. 195 was good. I was lean, muscle mass, could carry it around pretty well. I think being me at 55 years old, being under 200 pounds for the rest of my life, I think is a healthy way to go. Just going to make my joints feel better. Less effort to walk around, do things. So that's kind of my reasoning for that. And at 22, I realized I had quit growing, and any weight above that is unnecessary weight gain, if that makes sense. All right, let's see. Currently running 25 miles a week with a goal of between 45 and 55 miles a week to prepare for SOAS. I don't think you need to do that. SOAS is a week long. My advice is prepare to ruck. 9-mile ruck you're going to have to do. You're not going to run anywhere near that. Just get good at running your mile and a half, because that's a test, and get good at running a 4-mile timed run, right? You can do that with 25 miles a week. I don't think you need that much miles to prepare for a week of training. Good morning. I have an Apple Watch and find it hard to track open water swims. That's another way. What's another way to track open water swims? Have you ever heard of the goggles? What's the goggles that track your open waters? Man, I just used them this morning. I can't remember. I'm brain farting. Goggles that track distance. They're smart goggles and Form. That's it. Form smart goggles. Now these are expensive. You're gonna pay anywhere from 50 to $100 for these goggles, but they will keep track of your distance. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Open water as well as in a pool, they can keep track of that distance too. But the way we do it, long before technology occurred, and we were doing open water swims before there was the internet, and you put a cone at where you start, and then you walk off a half mile or a mile, right? You can do that either. I got one of those analog wheels that track every time it spins, it's a foot, right? Or 3 feet, I think. Um, so it's just track it. Do the mile marker, and these are nautical miles, so it's real easy. It's 2,000 yards, 6,000 feet. Set the other cone right there if you can, if it's a straight beach. And there you go. There's your 1-mile swim. Turn around, come back. That's a 2-mile swim. Yep. Thanks. Improvised workout part helps. I'll read the article. Yep. Well, thank you. Yep, I'm 55. Born in 1969. Um, all right, let's see. What's the next one? All right, how do I determine how much weight to use on my list for the upcoming lift cycle? We want to get as strong as possible, so we do a lot of 5 RM lifts. Yeah, I think that's logical. So my advice is it's going to be a little bit of hunting and pecking at first. So let's say bench press, for instance. Put 135 on there. You crank it out, and 10 was really easy. Well, you're not going to use that for your 5 RM anymore. Let's put on a little weight. Add 2 10s on there. Yep. So now you're at 155. 10 was a little harder. Getting closer. You take that off, you put on 25. Now you're at, what's that, 185? You got 7. Okay. Getting a little closer. Let's put on 5 pounds each side. 195. Do that 5 times. Couldn't do it a 6th time. You just found your 5 RM. That's how we do it. You gotta play around with it. Now another way to do it is find your 1 RM, and for any 5x5 workout that you do, try to do it with 75 to 80% of your 1 RM. That's a really good standard strength training protocol. Wrestling season started. Should I continue your phase 1, week 9, or hold off until the season's over? Well, here's the deal. Every time someone asks me this is, look, I mean, you're on a wrestling team. Your wrestling team hopes you win your events. If you want to be a good team player, you should do all the wrestling practices, put out hard. And if you got any juice left afterwards, you can do a little bit of that PST training, but I wouldn't do the whole thing. I wouldn't go for the run. I wouldn't do all the reps of calisthenics, because you probably did a lot of calisthenics in wrestling practice. Perhaps. If you didn't, add some. Maybe go for a swim as a cool down, right? You don't have to do the whole swim workout, but do some of it. Practice some technique stuff. So don't overdo it, because your recovery is really important to how you prepare for wrestling matches, whether they're wrestle offs to get a spot or they're actual wrestling matches. You need to understand recovery and not be overdoing it and just burning yourself out. Next thing you know, you now suck at wrestling because you're doing way too much. So let it be a supplemental to your wrestling season, not wrestling season a supplemental to your phase 1 program. I know if I was like a wrestling captain and I knew somebody was doing extra stuff, because I did this when I was, football captain, guys would just be burning themselves out like the night before the game. I'm like, what are you doing? Go home, rest. I mean, even at 17 years old, I knew you should rest a little bit before the game. Don't be max lifting. I mean, in fairness, they were teenagers and could probably recover from that, but so there you go. Hang on one second. Oh, yep, there's some stuff happening, so I may have to go here in a minute. Just got a pair of Combat Gen 2s. Wear size 11, but I got them size 12 so my feet can have room. Wore them, got blisters. Yeah, you got to read some how to prevent blisters. I always wore 2 pairs of socks. One was a thin, like rayon polyester blend up against my skin, followed by the thicker cotton sock on the outside. They issue dive socks out there that are pretty thick wool cotton blends. But as long as I had that thin polyester blend sock on, I never got blisters. So if your boots are too big and they're rubbing awkwardly, then you could get blisters. What do you think about weight vests, negatives, or negative pull-ups in general after doing a few sets of standard pull-ups? I love it. That's a great way to add a few more reps to your day and push it. Now, I wouldn't do it every set, because I think failing every set, especially some of the earlier sets of a workout, can interfere with the latter sets of the workout. You just don't recover fully. So maybe build up, push it, and then start doing some negatives on the last 25% of your workout. what should I do if my weightlifting numbers are all over the place? Some days I can really lift heavy, 315 plus, feel great, and other days I can only do 225. Good question. My advice is do stuff like this. Take notes. Like when you have a really good day, look back at the last 24 hours at what you did. How'd you eat? How'd you sleep? How'd you hydrate? What'd you do all day? Were you on your feet working in the sun all day? All those things matter to how you're going to perform in the weight room, especially if you're working in the weight room either first thing in the morning and you're hungry, didn't eat breakfast yet, or you're working after a full day's of work. Going to be different. Have an understanding of what is optimal for you when you do that. And when you have a bad day, write all that down. So now you know, well, I didn't drink any water today. I'm a little parched, a little dehydrated. No wonder my numbers were bad. I slept like crap last night, stayed up till 3 in the morning and got 3 hours sleep. Maybe that would affect a workout. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Write that down and you'll at least have a little way to assess the last 24 hours at what just happened. Good or bad. I do it for both. If I have a bad day, I like, man, what happened? I can usually tie it to how I slept, ate, or drank. One last question. My day usually consists of 200 to 400 push-ups, pull-ups, and abs in a day. I don't know why you do that every day. I usually run 3 to 7 miles and a mile swim, and I feel burned out. Yeah, no wonder. Dude, don't do same shit every day after day. How about doing an upper body day one day, resting your upper body, and doing your leg day? Or if you like full body days, do your full body. Rest your full body muscles with a cardio day. Do your run, swimming, rucking. Take a day off. Good Lord. Yeah, there's no reason why you should be doing that kind of volume of pull-ups, push-ups, and abs every day, right? If you were doing 20 pull-ups, 50 push-ups, couple of abs, a day just for a maintenance plan, that's a different story. But that kind of volume requires recovery. If you don't learn that, this is like physiology 101. You are doomed to have negative results or tendonitis so bad you can't do pull-ups and push-ups anymore for a significant amount of time. So stop it, Kevin. Stop it. Killing me. That's one of those questions I've been answering for 20 plus years, and I'm a little tired of answering it. I've written articles about it. In fact, it's called Stop Doing 500 Push-Ups a Day. Training to pass the PST. I meet all the criteria except for push-ups. What advice do you have? Make sure you're doing push-ups correctly. It's a technique issue too. Make sure, if you send me a video you doing push-ups, happy to tell you if you're doing them right. Put them from the side, from the front, from up above. I can kind of tell you, where your elbows are going. They shouldn't be going out here. They shouldn't be coming in, rubbing your ribs. They should be about a 45-degree angle. There's a proper push-up stance that's going to help you distribute 40% of your body weight, which is about what a push-up is, amongst your chest, shoulders, and triceps. So practice those muscle groups, chest, shoulders, triceps. Don't do push-ups every day like Kevin does, right? That's another way to get bad at push-ups. All right, it might help you a lot in the beginning, but eventually several weeks will probably show you negative results. Also, if you want, do a bench press day on your upper body day. And right after you do the bench press, rack the bench, rack the barbell, hop off, and do as many push-ups as you can. That is one way to simulate those last 30 seconds of a 2-minute push-up test without doing a lot of push-ups. Let's say your body weight bench press, you get 5 reps. That's all you can do. Roll off. You'll probably get 5 or 6 push-ups before they start to really fall apart. And that is a good way to test that back 10% really, or back quarter of your 2-minute fitness test for push-ups. Fox wool socks. I've never tried Fox River wool socks before, Ryan. I'll have to give those a try. Just like Rocky did the same thing every day. All right. Let me see what else we got. Christian says ran 29:22 4-mile timed run. Okay, going in, or should I be somewhere down in the 27? You know what? My advice is um, to get it down to 28. Right? It shouldn't be a 29-minute gut check. It should be a 29-minute easy run. And if you can get it down to 28 minutes, even better. 7-minute mile, 4 miles. That's kind of my goal. Somebody asked, is my mile is 16:23? Is that good? That's good if you're swimming. It's not even good if you're rucking. I'm assuming you're running. Yeah, that's not a good mile time. I mean, it's if you have never run before, then I think that's great. But if you're trying to run and join the military, 16:23 mile, no, it's not good. Pablo, or whoever you are, don't waste my time with stupid shit. Is this the best way to send a video on Instagram or email? People send me videos a couple of ways. They send me a DM on Instagram, or they send it by email, stu@stewsmith.com. In fact, Pablo's the reason why you can't have nice things today. I gotta go. I'm gonna end it on Pablo's stupid joke. So anyway, guys, check out stewsmithfitness.com. Live 1.5 saves you 15%. And if I missed your question, or if you have good questions, send them to stu@stewsmith.com. Happy to answer them there. I'll be back tomorrow for CSS critique show, and you guys can check out some of the swims of the week. All right, till next week, or till tomorrow. I'll see you then. You guys have a good one.